I was for 4 years in Singapore, and I've been for 5 months in Japan. I've traveled all across the region. I've been a lot in Vietnam, a few times in China. I've been to the Philippines, and I've been following the Asia creative scene since I moved here, and even before that. And I think that Asia is this, what is the word? Ebullient. It's always changing, has so many cultures, so many races, so many ethnicities, so many religions, and everything is kind of like interconnected. And you can see this in the work, you can see this in food, you can see this when you sit to talk to people. The conversations are anything but obvious. Asia is unique in the sense that it's everything but predictable. Asia is more inviting. Asia is, although the countries are very different, the cultures are 1,000 years old. We don't hide the fact that there's so many influences from so many places. I'm a very optimist person, so I like to think that we are anything but isolated. We are very inclusive. Other regions are not that inclusive sometimes, and I think Asia, like I'm from Brazil, and I have been probably best welcomed here than anywhere else in the world. You can see in the work, if you go across here at the spikes, every year you see things there that you would never see it in Cannes, you never see it anywhere else, just because Asians are more, I don't think they're more creative, they're just a different kind of creative, if that makes any sense. I don't know, maybe some of the work is not as easily translated to other cultures as probably the work from the West. So when you come to, I was a jury in Cannes maybe 3 years ago, and sometimes the time you have to understand a piece of work doesn't allow you to actually dig deep and to understand. And now in Japan, even when creatives tell me an idea, it takes time to get the context, the culture, to understand why that makes sense in Japan or why that makes sense in Singapore. So I think that the technicalities of an award show sometimes works against Asia in that sense, where a lot of the work needs context and needs a little bit of explaining and understanding. Unfortunately, it's something that it's not going to change in the short term, or even not going to change at all, because again, going around here, you see some of the ideas, like it took me like a good 5 minutes to understand an idea from India because I'm not from there. I think it's a matter of us being able to craft these case studies in a way that the West or other members of a jury, because the juries are usually so well picked from all the countries. I'll give an example. There's an idea from our office for McDonald's. It's just got 4 short lists today. When I got to the office there, the idea was already ready and done, but it was my job to craft it in a way that as someone from Brazil would understand it, not being from Japan. Because being from Japan, you get that idea like in a second. But I was looking at the original case study and I couldn't understand it putting myself in the place of a jury from another country. And yeah, and just got 4 short lists today. And it's not because of the case study, but because the idea is amazing. But it takes people to understand it to give it an award. It was a long answer, but I hope it made sense. I think they have to be very succinct, short. Again, I'm saying something very obvious here, but people like at the attention span of anyone, be it in the jury room or anywhere else, it's like you see people don't even stop to look at these boards now. And I know that time spent to craft these boards, and when you see someone just glancing and passing by, it's like, no, just please and give it a minute. So I think that it has to be very succinct. It has to be very well crafted. And when I say well crafted, like the everything, the voiceover, the graphics, when you show results. No, it's no longer the kind of case study where you have to like 1 billion this, one. the results have to be meaningful and they have to be contextualized. We have been so numbed by so many case studies that they have to be just short, sweet, and good. When you see too much fireworks and too much like explosions and 3 billion impressions, it sounds like there's something that you're trying to mask, and that the idea is not good enough to sell itself by just a regular result. So yeah, just be honest. People now I just want like, can you give me a straight answer, but really well told and crafted in a short amount of time? A good case study. Recently, so I used to work at, before I moved to Publicis at Mullen. I saw the case study that they did for Burger King, the Halloween, where people, if they were dressed as a clown, they would get a free Whopper, just making with the McDonald's. That case study in itself, everything's perfect, because I know the people who did it. And I remember that they kept sending me versions to give me to give feedback, and it took them, I don't know, 4 months to reach the perfect case study. The idea was already prepared, but you see that in the first 5 or 10 seconds, it cannot take your eyes away from the screen. The voiceover is perfect. The results are simple and sweet, that they don't try to oversell what the idea already did, and it's already impressive. I'm not sure how many lines it won, but it won like probably 2-digit lines. And it's a great idea that they didn't try to do more than it is, because the idea in itself was already really good. I think especially art directors, so I'm a copywriter, but especially art directors, the Brazilian art director, he's like a multi-dimensional individual, where because of just sheer necessity of doing too many things in a country where we don't have access to so many resources. So a Brazilian art director is photographer, he's an illustrator, he invents typography, if he needs to do a case study, he just grabs the camera, he shoots the thing himself. So that in itself, like a Brazilian art director, has become this sought after creative thing that everyone wants to work with. But as a copywriter, I think that I have worked in Europe before, but I think that more recently Asia has become, going back to the first question, is very interesting, dynamic, like kind of unknown place where Brazilians are starting to look as a place to work and build a career. Like I mean, if I can, I don't have plans to go elsewhere. I think that Asia it's unique, and I think that more and more I get emails from creatives like every week. I've seen that you have been there for a while. Can you give me tips on how to move there? What do I do? What should I have in my book? So I write this column to a creative site, one of the nicest creative advertising websites in Brazil. We used to call a Brazilian in Singapore. Now, I mean, the next one's going to be a Brazilian in Tokyo. But because I did that, a lot of people like, can you give us tips? Can you give us? Are there any agencies that are looking for creatives, especially from Brazil? Yeah, I think Brazilians have welcome to the fact that it's not only America, it's not only Europe. There's nothing wrong with those places, but people have like really are gravitating towards Asia now more than ever. I mean, hopefully we're not that threatened because I need the job, but I think that in the end, I think I was interviewed recently, and someone asked me something similar, and my answer was, I think it's really good that we have creatives, and there used to be in agencies in Spotify, at Google, at Facebook, at your consultancies.
Yeah, McKinsey.
McKinsey. It's good. I mean, it's better work coming out of all places. It means that whenever I go to a meeting at Facebook, whenever I do something for another outlet like YouTube, the people who are on that side are as creative or even more creative, and they demand better work that I do every day. So I try to see it's just good that there's more creative content being done by creative people in all sides of the business. If we start to be like very like protective, we are the only ones who are creatives, I don't know, it feels a little bit self-defeating. I used to have a boss who would tell me like, don't be jealous of other agencies' work. Just celebrate that there's more creative coming out of other agencies. It's just gonna make you a better creative because you want to do better work and still be relevant. So hopefully, because they are doing that, I'm gonna have to be a better creative. And by being a better creative, I'm gonna have better work. And hopefully, everyone will be better by doing that. I think just good content. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with print or your 30 seconds because it's still like very relevant. But I think a meaningful content that doesn't sometimes look like advertising, something that is part of your day-to-day journey where you don't have to be pulled by someone to, hey, look at this. So again, using Japan as an example, a lot of the times you go through, a client told me this, when I'm in the subway every day, going to work, I see everyone's on their phone. Please, can you put me on that phone? Can you put me where you see someone commuting to work that they don't get their eyes off from their phone? So it's not even put me on prime time. Put me on the phone on the subway. So it varies, but yeah, that's the kind of the thing that I've been asked to. The shortlisted work that is out there. It's probably one of the simplest ideas that I've ever seen. So in Japan, they have the bacon potato pie for McDonald's. So it comes like every year. And last year they changed the name for, I'm gonna try to say it right. So hey home, or hey hi. So it's like you say the name of the pie when you have a piece of it in your mouth because it's too hot. So you cannot say bacon, you say hey home. So they changed the name, they changed the name of the receipt, they changed the name of the signs, and they sold, I don't know, 200% more pies just because people like the idea of calling the pie differently. So sometimes just those little things. It's not like the overloaded special effects things. It's sometimes just changing the name of something that becomes relevant to the audience.